Hello, first graders. My name's Amy.
And my name's Susan, and we work for the City of Fishers Parks Department. And today we've partnered with your school to bring you a very special program.
We're going to learn about nature.
And you're first graders, so we call this program
Nature First. Hi, Nature First buddies. We are in the prairie habitat at Ritchey Woods Nature Preserve. You know, at Ritchey Woods, we have a lot of diversity. Do you know that word, diversity? Diversity means variety, meaning a lot of different kinds and types of things.
We have a diversity of habitats at Ritchey Woods Nature Preserve, meaning a lot of different kinds and types of habitats. We have a prairie, a swamp, and a forest.
We have a diversity of plants, meaning we have a lot of different plants. We have trees, flowers, grass, moss, shrubs, vines, ferns, and algae, to list a few.
And we have a diversity of animals. So many different animals. We have birds, insects, mammals, amphibians, and reptiles. Diversity is what makes Ritchey Woods Nature Preserve so special. I love the word diversity.
Another word for diversity is variety. Diversity means a lot of different kinds and types of something.
Here in Indiana, we have 4 distinct seasons, and those 4 seasons are diverse. They're different. It's early spring, and spring looks a lot different from winter. Spring is an important time for all animals and plants here in Indiana. As the weather starts changing, the soil warms up and the plants start to grow, and birds that migrated south for the winter, well, they start coming back. And animals have babies, since their food and shelter will be plentiful.
Today we want to show you more about the birds that call Ritchey Woods their home, because spring is when birds are singing, building nests, laying eggs, and taking care of the chicks that hatch. Let's head to the shelter where we have some special things to show you. Let's talk about what makes a bird a bird. All birds have feathers and lay eggs. All birds have wings. Birds have a mouth called a beak. Most birds can fly.
Most birds make a nest. Most birds make sounds, and some even have beautiful songs. Birds are also warm-blooded animals. They keep the same temperature inside their body all year round.
Which one of these characteristics, traits, make birds unique, so special? Let's think about that for a moment. It's not that they're warm-blooded. You and I are warm-blooded animals too. Humans have a constant temperature of around 99 degrees, and birds have a constant temperature of around 106 degrees.
It's not that they make sounds. Lots of animals make big sounds. Dogs make a big sound.
It's not that they make a nest. Other animals make nests. For example, a mouse and even a squirrel are known to make nests.
And it's not that they fly. Other animals fly. Think of bees and dragonflies and butterflies.
It's not that they have a beak. Other animals have beaks, like a turtle.
And it's not that they have wings. Bats have wings.
It's not that they lay eggs. Most reptiles and insects lay eggs too.
But there is one thing that makes a bird different from all the other animals. Feathers! All birds have feathers.
But even though they have feathers, birds can be very different from each other. Birds can be different colors, different sizes, lay different sizes and colors of eggs, make different nests, eat different things. Even though they all are birds because they have feathers, there's a lot of diversity in the bird world. Bird species differ from one another in many ways.
Just like people are alike because they're, well, people, they don't all look the same. They are diverse and they have lots of different characteristics. Different hair color, eye color, skin color, just to name a few.
Today we're going to show you a diverse collection of birds. We're going to look closely at some common Indiana birds and do some comparing and contrasting. The birds we are showing you today are taxidermy mounts, birds that were once living but aren't living now. They've been preserved so that we can study them. And the first one is a bird you probably see every single day, the robin.
And this time of year, you not only see the robins, but you will hear them singing. As the weather starts to warm up, the birds start singing so they can find a mate and lay eggs. And they also sing as a way to let other birds know that this is their territory, their home, and others need to find a different place to make their nest.
We can use this taxidermy mount to study a robin up close. Check out the beak of this robin. The beak works like this pair of chopsticks. You'll see robins hopping over the ground looking for the food they like best this time of year, a worm. As the soil warms in spring, worms become more active, more wiggly. A robin's sharp beak drills down, grabs the worm, eating it itself or feeding baby robins back in the nest. Let's look at another common Indiana bird, the cardinal.
Isn't he a beauty? This is our Indiana state bird, the northern cardinal. Let's compare its size to the robin. A cardinal is just a little bit smaller than the robin. The feather colors are different. And look closely at the beak. Does it look like the robin's beak? Is it the same shape and size? Nope.
The beak of a cardinal is a different shape than the robin's because the food a cardinal likes to eat is different. Birds have different shaped beaks depending on the food that they most often eat. Cardinals use their short, strong beak, like we would use a pair of pliers, to crack open the food that they like best, nuts. The beak cracks open the hard outer shell so they can get to the meaty nut inside. This beak shape also works great as a berry picker.
Both cardinals and robins lay eggs in the spring, but let's compare the eggs that they lay. This is a robin's egg. Look at that beautiful blue color. And this is a cardinal's egg. It's light tan and speckled with brown. Both of these birds will build a nest of twigs and dead grass, a robin reinforcing hers with mud, but both lining the inside with soft grass.
Take a look at this egg. Does it look like it belongs to a robin or a cardinal? No way. This egg is much bigger and it belongs to a much bigger bird. This egg belongs to the barred owl. Barred owls live year-round in Indiana and make their nests inside a hole in a tree that's called a cavity. The word cavity means empty space in a dead tree. Although he's considered a nocturnal animal, awake at night and sleeping during the day, we sometimes see barred owls during the daylight hours, especially on a cloudy day or when they're raising their young.
Check out his beak. Can you guess what kind of food he eats? Notice that really sharp tip of his beak. He's a meat eater. You see, owls have powerful night vision that allows them to see their prey. Animals like mice, rabbits, and even frogs or snakes. His beak acts like a pair of scissors as it rips into that meat. Remember, a bird's beak is shaped for what they like to eat.
Also, check out his claws. We call them talons. I wouldn't want to be caught by those.
A robin eats a lot of worms. A cardinal eats a lot of seeds. The barred owl eats a lot of small animals. Let's check out a bird that likes to eat insects, and its beak is perfect for catching them. This is the pileated woodpecker. Some people say pileated. This is the largest woodpecker in the forest here at Ritchey Woods. Check out that long beak.
A woodpecker beak is a combination of a tool called a chisel and a pair of tweezers. Let's look at why. It can use its beak like a chisel as it pecks and scoops out big chunks of wood from a tree. Then, when it finds something it likes to eat, like maybe a carpenter ant, the beak becomes a pair of tweezers and pulls that ant right out of the wood.
And that strong beak will also help the pileated woodpecker make a home. It will find a dead tree and drill a long, oblong hole into the wood, chipping away from the outside and the inside until they have a hole about 10 to 24 inches deep. Deep inside that hole, they will make a nest for their eggs.
The dead trees here at Ritchey Woods Nature Preserve are very important. They provide food and nesting sites for woodpeckers and many other birds and animals that live here. And remember, since Ritchey Woods is a nature preserve, we let nature do its job, and we don't cut down any dead trees. The taxidermy birds that we've shown you today look and act very differently, yet they all live together here at Ritchey Woods. That's what diversity is all about. Birds live everywhere, and you can enjoy them right where you are today. In fact, Susan enjoys birds in a special way, right in her own backyard.
That's right, Amy. Photography, taking pictures, is my hobby. And in my free time, I use my camera to take pictures of all the birds I see right in my own backyard.
How do you get them to come to your backyard in the first place?
Well, I put out food that I know that they like to eat, and I put out water for drinking and bathing. And I have plants in my yard, which are the kind that birds need for shelter and for perching. In fact, my backyard is the perfect habitat for birds. It has everything they need. It has food, water, shelter, and space. I put out seeds for some, insects for others, and suet, a type of meat fat, for the rest. It's a hobby that I love. I make notes in a notebook of the kinds of birds that visit my backyard. I write what the weather was like that day. Was it rainy or snowy, sunny or cloudy? And I keep track of the temperature. Was it cold or warm? I enjoy making science observations like that, and all I need is some blank paper. Nothing fancy. And I also enjoy birds so much that they inspire me to create beautiful art. I spend hours making pictures and cards that I can share with my friends and family.
These are so beautiful, Susan.
Thanks.
Bird watching sure brings you so much joy. I hope I get one of these creations in my mailbox one day soon. You know, when I want to learn more about something I'm interested in, I can read a book, look for information on the internet, or ask questions of an expert, someone who knows a lot about what I'm interested in. Susan is one of my bird experts, but I invited another friend here today who can tell us even more about bird diversity. Let's head over to the prairie and meet my friend Sarah. Hi Sarah, what are you up to?
Hi, Amy. I was just looking and counting the different types of birds that I've seen this morning at Ritchey Woods.
That figures. You see, Sarah is the director of the Fishers Parks and Recreation Department, and her job is to help plan and take care of all the parks in our community. So you can find her doing something outside almost every day. She loves birds and knows a lot about a really fun project that involves science, birds, and math.
That's right. My job lets me learn a lot about science. And you probably know, Amy, scientists need to know a lot about math, too. Well, I love birds and I love math, and I get to combine birds and math in a project called the Great Backyard Bird Count that's put on by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, the Audubon Society, and Birds Canada. Every February for 4 days, thousands of people around the world volunteer to count birds near their home or in their community.
Why would it be important to count birds?
When we count the kinds and amount of birds that are in a habitat, we are collecting data. Here, let me show you. In my science notebook, I wrote down that I counted 5 robins, 1 nuthatch, 3 blue jays, 1 woodpecker, and 2 mallard duck back in the swamp. Here's what it looks like in my notebook. I have the date, March 1st, my location, Ritchey Woods, what the weather was like, sunny and 44 degrees, a list of birds I saw, and a tally mark of each kind.
I see. So your data gives us an idea of what birds are here today at Ritchey Woods.
That's right. But during the Great Backyard Bird Count, people from all over the world look for birds at locations near them, even in their own backyards. They collect their list of birds and how many of each kind they see, their data, and they send it to scientists who study birds. The scientists use the data to understand how bird populations are doing.
So the scientists use the data to help make suggestions about how to keep bird populations and bird habitats safe. By comparing the number of birds in an area from year to year, they notice if there are any changes that might show that a certain bird has a problem that they need to investigate. And we might notice how the weather affects the number and types of birds we see each year.
That's right. Scientists want us to count birds so we can understand how to help birds. Look at the data from last year. Last year we learned that the northern cardinal was the most frequently reported bird, with over 70,000 people reporting seeing it. We also know which countries found the most kinds of birds. People in the countries of Colombia and Ecuador saw over 1,000 different species of birds during their bird count. Here in the United States, we found over 661 different kinds of birds. Other countries listed in the top 10 are Brazil, India, Peru, Mexico, Costa Rica, Argentina, and Thailand. People from all parts of the world help to count birds so they can help their own communities. And while all families are welcome to help by counting birds during the 4 days of the Great Backyard Bird Count, protecting bird and animal habitats is something all of us can do every day of the year in our own community.
That's right. Our first graders know they need to be protectors of Ritchey Woods since it's a nature preserve and follow all of our rules like staying on the trails and not keeping anything they find in nature. That protects the animals and plants at Ritchey Woods. And I bet they have ideas on how to keep the plants and animals safe around their home and school too. Sarah, thanks so much for showing us why using math to collect data can be so important.
Want to help me count some birds?
Sure, let's go. Let's review what we've learned today. The birds of Ritchey Woods are very diverse. There's a big variety, but they all have one thing in common: feathers.
Birds have differences too. Birds are different shapes and sizes and colors, and they have their own characteristics that make them unique. Bird beaks are shaped in a way that helps them eat the foods that they need. When spring arrives, the food that birds, and especially baby birds, need, worms, insects, seeds, and berries, become plentiful again.
Birds are everywhere and can be enjoyed by everyone. You can use a notebook to write about your bird observations and use your math skills to keep track of the species you see. You can use the data you collect to think about the birds and the habitat you observe them in.
And you can do research about birds you're interested in by reading books, searching the internet, or asking the experts. You can take pictures of birds and enjoy their beauty by sketching them or doing other art projects. One thing's for sure, there are so many different species of birds, and each one is special.
Just like you're all children, and each of you are different, but you each have characteristics that make you unique and special. Ready to go bird watching?
Let's do it! See you next time!